It is now official. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has won the 2024 to 2025 NBA MVP, his first of his career, and by no surprise, Nikola Jokic has been snubbed for not only the first time in his career, but now the second time in his career. If he would have won this award, this would have been his fourth ever MVP. His 5-year stretch that he's had of absolute dominance has been unbelievable, and the point of this video is why I believe that he deserved this year's NBA MVP. Now, I understand that SGA had a tremendous season, and I don't want to get that misconstrued to the audience because I believe that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had an awesome season. I'm super fired up for him, so congratulations to SGA on winning this award. In my personal opinion, I believe that Nikola Jokic should have won this award. If I had a official ballot, I would have voted for Nikola Jokic, and there are a few different reasons why I believe that he was the most valuable player when you break everything down throughout this entire season. And I understand that voter fatigue definitely comes into the entire equation, and that's what I think what happened 2 years ago when Joel Embiid won the award over Nikola Jokic. They were neck and neck for so many years there, and they finally gave it to Joel Embiid, even though Nikola Jokic had a better season, but he would go on to win the championship and the finals MVP that year, the MVP that mattered a little bit more. And I know that Nikola Jokic, this isn't keeping him up at night. He obviously wants to go out there and win, and he's viewed as a guy that really doesn't care about basketball too much outside of the floor. And obviously, I think at the end of the day, this type of stuff matters so much for legacies, and for Nikola Jokic not having this MVP, a fourth that would have just put him even more in that conversation of potentially being a top 15 player already, a guy that is only 30 years old. It's just absolutely insane. For Nikola Jokic, he is the first ever player since Larry Bird to be top 2 in MVP voting for 5 consecutive years. That is the type of dominant stretch that we're looking at with Nikola Jokic, and there are a few different reasons as to why I would have given him this year's MVP award. I was breaking down all of the statistics because we understand that this is a regular season based awards. Even though Shai Gilgeous-Alexander beat the Joker in the postseason in a Game 7, that doesn't matter. We're simply looking at the 82 games that were played within the regular season as the reason why SGA won this award. First of all, we've never seen a player in the history of the NBA be top 10 in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. In the case of Nikola Jokic, he was not only top 10 in all 4 of these statistics, he was top 3 in every single one of these statistics. It is absolutely mind-boggling to me to be top 3 in 4 different categories: scoring, rebounding, assisting, and stealing. Everybody wants to call Nikola Jokic a bad defender. He was second in the NBA in steals. In terms of points per game, he nearly put up a 30-point triple-double, 29.6 points per game. In terms of rebounding, he was third in the NBA at 12.7 rebounds per game, and in terms of assists, he put up just over 10 at 10.2 per game. And when you look at steals, he was tied for second with Case and Wallen of the Oklahoma City Thunder, putting up almost 2 steals per game at 1.8. When I look at that type of dominance in terms of regular season dominance and in terms of a most valuable player, that automatically is like lights going off. How can you not give more credit to that? That is NBA history alone. Just with that, there's a lot more NBA history that he accomplished this year, and we'll get into it. When you're putting the two head to head, I understand that a major reason why SGA won this award is because the Oklahoma City Thunder were a buzzsaw this season. They won 68 games, only 14 losses, and yes, the Joker didn't have as many wins in the regular season, but in a brutal Western Conference, they were the 4 seed. You've got to give some credit to that. You can't discount him too much for that. Also, that team is significantly worse than the Oklahoma City Thunder. Chet Holmgren is awesome. Jalen Williams is awesome. This is a extremely deep team. They have the coach of the year. The Nuggets, on the other hand, their coach gets fired midway through the year. What do you want Nikola Jokic to do about that? That is insanity to me. The second thing that SGA had going for him was his points per game. He led the NBA in scoring at 32.7. The Joker had 29.6, 3 points less per game. And the other thing that SGA had over him was more blocks. He had 1 block per game. The Joker had 0.6 blocks per game. But the 2 major things that you have, the wins, 68 wins, number 1 seed, In the West, number one seed in the entire NBA. I will shake SGA's hand for that. That's an awesome award. But guess what? For everything else that Nikola Jokic did in order for his team to be the 4 seed in the West, for me, that trumps getting 68 wins and only losing 14 games. Now, I understand that that's incredible. There's some other NBA history, though, that Nikola Jokic achieved, along with being the first ever player to be top 10 in 4 different categories. And he was top 3 in all 4 of those categories. He was the first ever player to put up a 30-20-20 game, the most ever points while averaging a triple-double in a season. He had the most triple-doubles in the NBA this entire season, and he was the first non-point guard outside of Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook to average a triple-double in a season. That's all NBA history right there. First ever 30-20-20. Most points ever in a triple-double. Top 3 in points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, and steals per game. First ever non-point guard to average a triple-double, and he led the NBA in triple-doubles this season. That's what Nikola Jokic did, ladies and gentlemen. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. It really is. And you look at the company that he's in, Larry Bird, who is undoubtedly a top 10 player in NBA history, this 5-year stretch of dominance that we're seeing with Nikola Jokic, how much more do you want him to do? And we've seen other players have MVP type caliber years. Luka Doncic last year put up like a 32-point season with 9 assists and 9 rebounds. Better than SGA's season this year and didn't win the MVP. Sometimes MVP caliber years don't win. That's what SGA had. He had an MVP caliber year. Nikola Jokic had a historic year. Crazy to me that he was snubbed again already for the second time in his career. Second time. This should be 5 straight MVPs for the Joker. 5 straight MVPs. Unbelievable that he didn't win it this year. But SGA and the Thunder, they'll probably go on to win the championship. He'll probably win the finals MVP. He's been great in the postseason. I don't want to take that away from him. He was great in the regular season this year. Obviously, the number 1 team in the NBA record-wise, in the NBA in general. This is the best team in the league. The Oklahoma City Thunder are awesome. They're awesome. But at the same token, go roster for roster. Jamal Murray was so up and down in the playoffs. Now, yes, the Joker did have a 3-game stretch where he really struggled against the Thunder. The Thunder have the best defense in the NBA. They have 2 7-footers that they were putting up against the Joker. The entire defensive identity for the Thunder is to take away Jokic. So he had 3 games where he was pretty inefficient, I will admit. But look at what that team does when he's off the floor. They're terrible. He pretty much has to play 48 minutes per game. And that's why in games 4 and 5, they had double-digit leads in the fourth quarter and choked it away because they just didn't have enough gas left in the tank. Because Jokic is playing every single minute because you can't take him off the floor or the team is just terrible. Jamal Murray had that illness the last 2 games. He was kind of up and down in the series. Aaron Gordon had that hamstring injury in game 7. Michael Porter Jr. had that shoulder wrap the entirety of that series, and just outside of one of the games in the series was just bad. He was bad. Christian Braun was up and down. This was just not a great overall team. And Jokic admitted it in the press conference. Somebody asked him, do you still think this team can win the championship? Why would this team win the championship? That's a hypothetical. Obviously, we can't win the championship. It's true. That roster is nowhere near as good as Oklahoma City's. And I'll go to my grave saying that. And why do we not show more love to Jason Tatum when the Celtics were the number 1 seed last year in the East? I didn't hear any love for Tatum to win the MVP. He led his team in pretty much every single category last year. If we're going to put that much weight in winning basketball games, in being the number 1 player on a team that is the number 1 team in a conference, Jason Tatum got no weight to win the MVP last year, but SGA gets all of the weight this year. You can't convince me otherwise that this wasn't voter fatigue. I believe that Nikola Jokic should have won the MVP this year. I believe that he should have won 5 straight years in a row, which would be obviously NBA history. NBA history alone, first player since Larry Legend to be top 2 in voting for 5 consecutive years, but it's voter fatigue. Feel terrible for Jokic, but congratulations to SGA on winning this year's MVP. My name is Caden Kubler, and thank you guys for watching.